Good afternoon. Welcome to the Meltdown. I got to tell you, I had a great morning. Better afternoon is coming, and the weather outside is gorgeous. Folks, there's a lot going on as usual, and probably the most exciting thing that I've got to be able to share is the fact that it appears that Janet Yellen is going to get through and be nominated to be our next Fed chair. Now, as the head of the Fed, obviously monetary policy is what people will look to her for, and just the acknowledgement coming out of the Senate that it appears that nothing was surprisingly said or done has forced gold to go up because, of course, those of us who watch the market realize that Yellen is truly contemplating throwing the gear shift into maybe ninth or 10th gear. You'd think it's a big 18-wheeler. But folks, QE is going to increase. There's going to be more quantitative easing. And trust me when I tell you, the woman had the guts to go out and say that if the long-term unemployed get put into the equation, real unemployment is running at 10% in this country. Well, I think she's still shortchanging it and trying to make it sound a little bit better than it is. Of course, when you consider the October unemployment figure at 7.3%, that's not even close to where it is. That's why I doubt the 10% figure, and I would put the number closer to 20% real unemployment. And I think if you really had an abacus handy and you could really break down the equation, you'd easily find us at 25%. Remember, Europe, as they were going through their debacle, say 8 or 10 months ago, they were at 25%, 60% unemployment among youth. And folks, nothing's changed. We're still in trouble. You know, Michael and I, just before we went on air, talked about the tweet conference that ended, that JP Morgan cut short because, of course, there are a lot of people out there, and the insinuation of drug cartel money and all the laundering that's been going on. You don't pay billions of dollars in fines, having done everything on the straight and narrow, and no one's ever accused JP Morgan of playing fair. Now, I got problems with the Big Five, always have. I've made it a point to pick on JP Morgan Chase, and now I'm going to add Bank of America into the equation. Now, I can tell you firsthand that I know of a spouse that left her spouse. So they're separated. And in spite of the fact that Bank of America admitted that this is an unauthorized user, if the credit card is still in the possession of the person that was taken off the account and they use the account, the other spouse is liable for the transactions. Now, I would probably say that someone's going to get sued over it, and they should. And Bank of America has always been a target, and they should be again. The admission of that fact is scary to me, and it bothers me a great deal, and it continues to feed into the entire system that large banks are manipulating everybody. Folks, if you separate from a spouse and you decide that that is an unauthorized user, the card should be blocked, because I can tell you firsthand that there is a large bank and, quote, a gas company that regulates and knows when the cards are scanned whose card it is. I'm just appalled that Bank of America could make that statement. But it's on a recorded line. The recorded line should be subpoenaed and somebody should be sued. I would think that somebody should be reaching out with an attorney and reaching out to that person. So if you want to get more into that conversation, you can go to ustream.com, register with themeltdown.com. You can chat with me live and ask me questions. I'll be more than happy to put them over the airwave and answer them. You can reach me, Brett, B-R-E-T-T, at thegoldexchange.net. Brett with 2 T's. It's important. You got to have the second T. I've got too many people who spell Brett with 1 T, and my folks believed that the second one was free, so I got them both. Brett, B-R-E-T-T, at thegoldexchange.net. you can call the store 281-548-2646, hit option 0. Now, it's important to get a pen and a piece of paper, jot down notes. If I don't answer a question directly and you've got more to share, please give me a call. Email me. Go to our website. You can hit info, and there's lots of different ways to reach out. Folks, after Yellen's comments, or the Senate's comments, I guess, gold practically hit $1,300. One website reports $1295.50 as the top for the day. The bottom was $1281. We're in the mid-range. Accordingly, we're trading at about $1287. It's important because silver made it almost to $21. The price of platinum currently at $14.51. Premiums are going higher. And the gold to silver ratio now at nearly 62-1. Folks, I want people jumping on the silver bandwagon. I think it's important. I think there are some great deals out there. I love Morgan silver dollars. 96 pieces make a complete set. And so whether you're going to build the set of 96 and spend it in the neighborhood of about $30,000, or whether you've got the ability to go into a finer set and spend $100,000 or $200,000, the coins at the high level would be NGC and PCGS graded. There are many companies that grade coins. Those are the two that trade on a computer network. I want to be in those coins. Now, I can also tell you that about a week and a half ago, I was talking about a transaction that somebody wanted to do in 1 ounce gold American Eagles. Today, I quoted 6% over spot. The transaction a week or so ago that I was talking about was $79 over spot. So my 6% today is a cheaper price than a different dealer here in the Houston area at $79. As the price of gold fluctuates, the premiums change. We pass that along. The bottom line is that I'm still working on the same couple of percentage points. That's the truth. And so for me, it's about diversification. And so many of you are getting so much information that either A, the wires start to stop crossing and you can't make a decision, or you're so confused that you just pull back and make that decision. 1 ounce gold bullion coins, when you identified them as bullion coins, you must understand that unless you own 20 or 30 different types of countries, you're hoarding gold. And back in May of 1933, if you hoarded gold, it was confiscated. Now, that's why we have a large quantity of British sovereigns, or 20 francs, or 20 liras, or 20 marks. The world's gold moves around the world based on hoarding. And let's face it, a couple of weeks ago, when the Russians dumped gold, it's because nobody cares about currency. It doesn't matter what currencies are worth. What matters is the bottom line that you got some of it. And money isn't real money. I mean, let's face it, what's in your pocket, whether you're using a money clip or a rubber band, is paper. It's all paper. And that's part of the reason why our business is actually increasing when the price goes down. When you see the price of gold near a high, $1,300, $1,350, and all of a sudden you see a pullback into the mid to low 12s, maybe even lower, we saw 1180 earlier this year. When those things happen and you get down to the cost of production, people start buying, and they buy in large quantity. Now, don't get confused. When you look at the spot price, you're not buying the physical metal. You're buying, quote, paper. You're buying a futures contract. Whether it's 5,000 ounces of silver or 50 ounces of gold or multiple contracts, and maybe you're leveraging it. That's really a derivative. Folks, that's what the big banks are doing. And because they deal in hundreds of millions of dollars at a time, there's no metal involved. The banking system is leveraged, some have predicted, at 50-1. For every ounce that is committed, 50 ounces are being traded. And folks, if everyone called and decided to take physical delivery, there's not enough gold to handle the transactions. Ultimately, when there is a supply and demand problem, prices rise even faster than the demand curve. So for me, I keep telling people to buy multiple types of coins because you got to be a collectivestor. You've got to own different types of coins. Now, most of you know that I talk about a red book. This year, it's 67th edition. It's been out since April. It's the 2014 guidebook, 67th year. And folks, if it was out in April of 2013, they're already beginning to start accumulating the numbers and the figures for the 2015 book. Now, granted, it won't be out for almost 6 months, but they're going to start compiling the information, the contributors. So you're trying to figure out where are the guides? What do you look at? Do you look at an online auction? Well, I'll tell you this way. There are lots of books and lots of auctions and lots of records, and I'm watching everything from the art world to the car market to the gold market. And when you see serious money moving into markets, $694 million in, quote, the span of a day or a couple of days, $140 million, that far exceeds the $120 million that a gentleman with the last name of Black paid for the canvas Scream. Very well-known piece of art. But it blew it away. $20 million is a little over 15%. That's a huge number in less than a year's time. So big money, prudent money, is looking for a safe haven. And the value of art appears to be a safe place to put money. Now, I can also tell you that back in the late 1970s, early 80s, the number of 40 million was the big number. That's what a Japanese syndicate paid for sunflowers by Van Gogh. So realize the markets are changing. People have more money. 1% of the wealth in America controls 20% of the value. So it is the time to be involved. And while I pick on the Morgan silver dollar or the Peace silver dollar, and there are 9,000 different varieties of coins, from 1792 to the coins that are being produced today, the ones that are on the artist's sketch pad to be created, those numbers continue to change. And so add 20 different qualities, you've got a market that's 180,000 across. Now, I can also tell you that we work with a lot of folks around town. We help around the country. And I have served as a consultant to the Internal Revenue, and I've helped the Secret Service. Now, in doing so, that doesn't mean that my records are being searched all the time. They'll serve me with a subpoena. They want to know somebody in particular, and if your transactions are small in size, if you're spending between $100 and $10,000, it's not a big deal, okay? We can do your business through a register. There's the gold exchange, and then there's my rare coin company, Eagle Numismatics. If you visit the meltdown.com, there's a platform there. You can go to different websites and companies. And folks, there's so many different companies out there. What you don't do is you don't structure a transaction. You don't tell me what you're up to if it's not legal. That's not going to work. I'm not going to do that transaction. But the other side of it is that when you're doing business, you need to make sure that you're doing business with somebody who's got experience. Now, it can be the principals of the company if they've got the right experience. And folks, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about making sure that the information makes sense, that ultimately what you're talking about and what you're doing literally fits a program. If you move 90% of your net worth, that's not a prudent man. That's not what, quote, somebody would do who does the due diligence properly and accurately. So from my perspective, I want you to understand there's a reason to do everything. And so I'm looking at the transactions. I'm contemplating your age, your goals, your objectives. Your age, the age of your heirs. And so when we talk about putting together sets of coins, or we talk about owning the key date coins, depending on the amount of money you've got to work with, it all fits the program. And the program is simple. It's a third, a third, and a third. So when you determine that your net worth is X, whatever X is, and you want to move around X amount of dollars, see, I don't want to put those numbers in your head. I want you to say, Brett, this is what I'm going to work with. And then I can go to work and do my job. Now, I love Morgan silver dollars and Peace silver dollars. They're big, beautiful coins. In the gold market, I would much prefer you own $20 Liberty or St. Gaudens gold pieces. I want to do as many multiple dates and mint marks as I can so that you're comfortable getting in the market. Now, part of that is to own numismatic and semi-numismatic material. So you're looking at 1 ounce gold American Eagles or Canadian Maple Leafs, and I'm going to charge 6% over spot. I would rather have $20 gold pieces that are 0.9675. That's the amount of pure gold in the coin. They're 22 karat. That's 0.9167. Lots of different figures, so if you've got a pen and a piece of paper, jot them down, ask questions, email me or call. But folks, it's about owning multiple types of coins in multiple qualities. And that doesn't mean you have to pay an exorbitant premium. Oh no, you don't want to do that. But there needs to be a methodology to it. And when there's methodology, you own inexpensive gold, you own inexpensive silver, you own it in multiple dates and multiple sizes, because when Ronald Reagan signed Public Law 99-185, the new coins were deemed to be numismatic. Nice and simple. Now, you can own modern commemorative coins. Lots of different events out there that the government supports by making silver or gold, not platinum. We're not making platinum commemoratives. Those are only made in eagles. But in gold coins, there are quarter ounce and half ounce sizes that go back to the Olympics of 83 and 4. There are coins literally that go all the way back to 1792 that were made of silver, and they trade for far more than their silver value. Now, I don't do much with foreign material. Most foreign coins are struck in base metals and don't maintain, quote, a intrinsic value because they were struck in aluminum or some other metal. Bottom line is, you want to own different types of coins because there's collectors out there. And the collectors collect. And you've got people that'll collect coins that trade for a nickel to a dime. And you got clients that are out there that'll pay millions of dollars for coins. There are coins that were struck pre-1900 that are in 69 star plus cameos with CAC stickers. Oh my gosh, it gets confusing at times. But the truth of the matter is that when you get right down to it, if it's NGC or PCGS graded, you will get a premium for it. Thieves will take the coins out of the holders, or they'll take them out of the PMG label, that's currency, and they cut it off, and they still sell them as non-graded notes. Folks, that's suicide. Of course, if you stole it, anything you get's going to be a premium over what you stole it for, but you get premium dollars when you leave the PMG sticker on a piece of currency, or you leave the coins NGC or PCGS graded. Again, it's the thief. They're the ones that want to change up the way the coins look. And sometimes they go to other grading companies, and like I said, there's a dozen companies out there. These two, NGC and PCGS, trade on a computer network. That means they're always liquid. And yes, you've got to find a CCE dealer. And I also understand that many people subscribe to the gray sheet. That comes out weekly, monthly, and quarterly. And it helps provide a market as to what other dealers will pay for their coins. Now, it's important to remember that the gray sheet, even the blue sheet, is a piece of paper. It's a guide sheet. It doesn't buy or sell. It reports the low bid for coins. If you want to get more money, then you find a dealer who has experience. And trust me, the gray that I have in my beard is real. I didn't put it there this morning. And so I really do have 30 years of experience doing this. And it's important because, folks, if you don't know what you've got or you don't know what you're getting into, and you call around, you're going to find 10 different opinions from 10 different dealers. And folks, this is something that I've done for 30 years. I've had the same basic recommendation for 17 of those years. I love coins. I love looking at them, touching them, looking at them, flipping them upside down and right side up. And the truth of the matter is that it doesn't matter what you've got. It's the goal and the objective as to what you own down the road. I love Morgan and Peace dollars. I love $20 gold pieces, but I love large cents. I love half cents. I love coins from all over the spectrum because when you get right down to it, I want liquidity. And so I can't tell you if 1285 is going to hold going into tonight and in tomorrow, or whether we're going to pull back to the 1250s or 1260s. I don't know. What I can tell you is that with Janet Yellen at the helm guiding the Fed, she's made it clear unemployment is too high. Quantitative easing, we might need more of it. And the more you hammer down, quote, quantitative easing, the bigger the bite will be of inflation when it comes. And folks, it's coming. I can't tell you that it's going to happen in 6 months or a year. It could be 2 or 3 years. Kind of like the people who steal rare coins and crack them out or the currency. Eventually, you get found out. And when you do, that's where the problems start to come in. Now, ultimately, you want some bullion. You want to be able to trade. I've got plenty of clients that want to be, quote, in the bottom feeder material, the lowest premium they can get their hands on. I don't like 1 ounce Krugerrands. I don't like Maple Leafs. I don't like 1 ounce Mexican gold because ultimately those areas get reported. Dealers are having to report it based on, quote, their IRS agents, the offices that watch over us, because they do. Ultimately, Big Brother wants to know everything you do. And so there's a lot of scrutiny out there today. I can tell you that based on the rules, you own multiple types of coins and multiple qualities because that is what a true definition of an investor is, a collecto-vestor to be specific. And ultimately, you get areas of the market that will appreciate and pull back. So what I can tell you is that if you bought gold 2 years ago at $1,900 and that's all you bought and you sold it today, you're losing money. There's no doubt about it. You're down $600, that's 20 percentage points. But if you scattered it across the board and you own some inexpensive material and some expensive material, then you've hedged within the hedge because that's what this is about. I look at the Dow, and this was something I said as soon as I read the Yellen comments, both gold will be up and the stock market will be up. And sure enough, they are. When I look across the gambit, everything's up. The Dow, the S&P, the dollar, the Nikkei was up over 2%. Again, it's approaching 15,000. And the Nikkei was trading for more than the Dow. They actually surpassed each other again. Didn't last very long. Price of oil is back to almost $94 a barrel. And folks, the economy of the world is at risk. How much risk can you afford to take? So I want coins. I want sets of coins. I want to put together a portfolio that maintains liquidity and takes advantage of the rising trend. And today, the trend appears that everything's going to keep going up. It won't be that way forever. And so it's the ins and the outs and the ups and the downs. It's realizing that markets get manipulated. And unless your net worth is in the hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, you're going to get whipsawed like the rest of us. In other words, you're going to make money and you're going to lose money. I like to be right more than I'm wrong. It's probably one of my fallacies. I don't want to be a know-it-all. I want to be right. I want to be able to look into, quote, the future and guesstimate where we're really going to be headed. And people, we get curveballs all the time. It's how we react to the curveball. So from my perspective, I can tell you clearly that people shoot their mouths off. They don't understand what they're talking about. They don't do the due diligence. If you've done research and you've got a choice and you want to stick to the choice, by all means, I am more than happy to tell you if the deal you've been offered is a good enough one, pull the trigger and do business with whoever based on the information. We're not always going to be right. There's no doubt about it. A third, and a third is designed to hedge the bet, to make me right more than I'm wrong. And so it doesn't always work. There's no doubt about it. But I can also tell you that if you take inflation into account, if you look at the ups and downs of a market cycle, if you consider all of the variables and what's going on out there, I mean, let's face it, we all know that the property values on the coasts are typically worth more than anywhere else in the United States. I can tell you that of the top 5 markets, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Santa Ana, San Jose, and New York. Those are the 5 according to CNN. That's what they say. Now, when you talk about a median home price of nearly $800,000, you're talking about San Francisco, against a median income of $100,000, there's the leverage. That's the problem. And so it doesn't matter to me, it matters to you. It matters to the banks. And the banks are the ones that are at risk. And the worst part of it is that you and I are the ones that are funding the banking system because we're doing it in the form of a bailout package. No, there's one of the big 5 that's got a huge investor behind it. That would be Warren Buffett. And Buffett puts money into the banks. He doesn't believe in gold. He believes in paper. Well, if he lost 98% of his money, it wouldn't change his lifestyle. What does that tell you? His secretary, it was reported a year or 2 ago, pays more income tax on a percentage basis than he does. And folks, that's really scary. So for me, I want to thank Jeff. I want to thank Chris and Bill and Larry. There's so many people that come in and do business with us. And again, it doesn't matter the size of the transaction. It matters that you do the business and that you've given me the blessing and you prefer the information. And folks, all of that matters. I look at where the internet is headed. Personally, I'm not a big advocate of the internet because anybody who can write web code, HTML, can pretty much be a coin dealer or come off being an expert in anything. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing when somebody can represent that they've got the knowledge and the experience. Because they're on the internet, they sell 10,000 1/10 ounce gold American Eagles, and they got to do the transaction because they came off looking like an expert. The website was designed properly, they've got the right answers, did a lot of money transactions, but at the end of the day, they didn't understand the intricacies of the market. And if you put an order in for 10,000 coins, the mint's going to make them. No doubt about that. Or they're going to be made and moved, and all of a sudden you move the market value because it's one of the easiest markets to manipulate. So it's from that standpoint that I share the concern of where is the market really going to head. Now, coin prices are a lot like gas prices. You can shop multiple dealers and find multiple prices. Doesn't mean any one of the dealers is gouging you. What it might mean is that they bought it cheap and the market value that they paid the other guy was so low that they can be at the right level now when they're selling it. Happens all the time. And that's really what I want to share with you today. I want to share that just because it was acquired inexpensively doesn't mean it's necessarily a place you want to put your money. And most people understand land better than they understand most other assets. And frankly, for me, it doesn't work that way. I've been doing this long enough. I understand the coin market. And so if you're kicking the can down the road and you want to come up with a better way of kicking the can, you should call 281-548-2646. That's 281-548-COIN 2646. Hit option 0. You won't get caught in the phone system. Now, I've got friends in the industry, and there's not really a shortage today of much of anything. And I've got friends who typically don't like 40% Kennedy half dollars made from 1965 through 1970. Look on the edge. If you don't see copper, then that's a silver coin. If it's from 65 to 70, it's a Kennedy half dollar. It's 40% pure. You're talking about a coin that probably bids around 5.5 times face. That's a little over $2.25. Or you buy 90% silver, 1964 back, and those would be half dimes, dimes, quarter, half dollars, and dollars. Those are 90% silver, and that's the way we struck coinage from 1792 all the way through 1964. Pennies are copper, and copper has a value far in excess of the penny's legal tender value. However, if they're heavily circulated and they've been heavily used, you're not going to see the premium that way. And so you might need to buy common date pennies in a book, and you might find yourself having to add some of the rare pennies so that you avoid confiscation. Ultimately, it's about the goal and the objective at the end of the day. And if you're not quite sure what I'm talking about, you're the person I want to talk to. Please call the store at 281-548-2646. That's 281-548-2646, or call the Gold Exchange toll free outside of the Houston market. That's 877-705-2646. 877-705-2646. You can email me, Brett, B-R-E-T-T, at thegoldexchange.net. Now, folks, I'm trying to get to a 30-minute show. I know that taking notes and following the program gets into a lot of different areas. One of the areas that I really like and I want to talk about tomorrow are commemorative coins, not just the 144-piece set made from 1892 to 1954, but I want to talk about some of the more modern coins struck from the 1980s through current. If that sounds exciting, I hope you'll be with us tomorrow. Folks, I never want to get off air without thanking Texas Children's Hospital, both the Downs Clinic and the Ronald McDonald House. Now, the Myers Center is run by Catherine Ostermeyer. She takes care of all types of special needs children, from Downs to autism. And folks, if you're looking for someone to be able to provide a donation here at the end of the year, a tithe or an offering plan, please go to themeltdown.com, click on the donation link for the Downs Clinic. The information, your name, address, city, state, zip, phone number, all kept anonymous, as is the amount you donate. Also, the Ronald McDonald House at Texas Children's. Now, the Myers Center is no longer at the Fannin campus. They've moved a little bit south of Fannin. However, Texas Children's has the Ronald McDonald House on the 4th floor. 20 rooms, provides overnight accommodations for 40 to 60 people. Ultimately, it's so family members can stay late with their children, or they can go in the middle of the night. My son Jason was in the hospital at 6 weeks old for 6 weeks. Those people are very special to us. If you can provide a hot meal, or you're looking, again, for some place to make a donation to, I know the Philippines needs help, so does TCH. Call the Ronald McDonald House at 832-824-8600. That's 832-824-8600. If you can provide a hot meal, or you're looking for someplace else to donate, I appreciate and really love the doctors, the nurses, the staff, and of course the volunteers. Now, folks, we'll be back tomorrow. We're going to try for an early show. I should be in the office. That would be around 9:30, 10 o'clock. It should be up, and then I'll do another 30 minutes near the end of the day. Appreciate you listening in. Have a great evening and an afternoon. God bless you. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great evening.